Welcome to our continuing series, Interviews with Disciples and Devotees. Today, it is a great honor to have Ananda Reddy with us. Namaste, sir. Namaste. Ananda, when did you first hear the names of Sri Aurobindo and Mother? And you can go back in your family if you like.
Yes. In fact, I came to know of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother because my father was already connected with Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. And in fact, in 1949 and 48, my father had seen Sri Aurobindo, had come here for this darshan. Of course, I was born in 47, I hardly knew anything about Sri Aurobindo. So as I grew up, my father had decided that he would like his first child to be brought up in the ashram. So when I became around 10 plus, although it was a bit financial difficulty for him in those days, salaries weren't too big, but still he said, this is the right time to put my child in the ashram.
You know, I heard your father speak in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, yes. So he had done his PhD, one of the first PhDs in Sri Aurobindo's philosophy.
Oh.
And the beautiful thing is, he offered his PhD to the mother. And the mother gave her blessings on the first copy of just the printout, not yet published. Which only meant that he was really deeply already turned to Sri Aurobindo. And he decided to bring me and admit me in the ashram school. And frankly, I did not know anything about Sri Aurobindo. The first contact was obviously with the mother. Because when I was put in the boarding hostel, what we used to call Kanpatram boarding, that is to be where the cottage is these days. So I was put there, and of course my parents went back to Hyderabad. So my first meeting, if I can remember, was seeing the mother at the balcony. I didn't know anything about the mother till then, not that I knew much afterwards. But it was in the atmosphere that everyone was going to the balcony darshan. My guardian who was in charge of the Kanpatram boarding, she used to say, hey Anand, you must go to the balcony darshan.
And this was the 6:15 in the morning?
6:15 in the morning. So, not knowing anything about her, I said, fine, we'll go and see the mother. And I had a room partner who is now in charge of the school administration, Ravi. We used to be boarding mates.
Oh.
So we decided that every morning we'll go. So nobody to wake us up or nothing, but still the will was there, we should go. So the previous night when we came back from the group, I think we slept in the same group shorts, the green shorts or the white shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And, we didn't have a guardian to say, take a bath in the evening, put on a nightgown, night dress, nothing. We were quite left to ourselves. But in the morning, somehow we made an effort, and we got up by 5:45 or so. We hardly brushed our teeth and ran to the balcony. Because imagine 6:15 was the time, so. And we didn't have cycle, we had to walk down. Those days, no cycles. So we walked and ran, we walked and ran, somehow we used to be there in time. Sometimes when we became a bit late, you know, we maybe overslept. What we did, if you remember Pondicherry topography, we used to come from the canal street. So from the canal street, we could see the balcony, where we just take the canal street turning towards the balcony road.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, if we become late, at least we can get a glimpse of her, because from far. That was not too many times, but we did manage to see her. But when we were on time, we came and I had a particular fancy to sit near the garage, the garage under the balcony.
I did too.
You did. No, but I think our reasons were different.
Mine was to be under her feet.
I was not yet such a devotee. Mine was to be next to Amal Kiran.
Ah,
Amal Kiran used to stand just below the balcony. And one thing got stuck in my mind. He's a VIP, a very big devotee and very well known. So mother would surely look at him. And if she looks at him, I'm a tiny tot beside him. She will look at me, surely. So that was my only logic, to make sure that she looked at me. Otherwise, not because of aspiration or anything. So that was my mind set up, you know.
and where did Ravi stand?
Ravi, I don't know. Then we
He-
dispersed maybe.
Okay.
So I was very particular to stand just beside left or right of Amal, and we both looked up. When the mother came, we did look up. And of course, sometimes, very frankly, it was a bit of a strain on the neck, you know. We had to be directly
Oh, yes.
looking at her, you know,
Yes.
sometimes we were put down and then. However, you see, those are the first days I hardly knew anything about the mother, just that she's there, head of the institution. Everybody says she's a spiritual being. Because just imagine that I had come from a village background. My village was Julur, a town where Pochampalli in Andhra, in Nalgonda district. Pochampalli is now world known because of its saris. So I come from a village. My earlier education was there. So I knew hardly anything about spirituality, about mother, nothing. So it's all thanks to my father that he became a devotee, turned to Mother Master. He decided that I would like to offer my child to the mother. So that's how I came in, and those are my first contacts with the mother. And there was a kind of a the recognition of the mother, the devotion to the mother started coming very slowly, gradually. Because it was almost from zero to whatever level I am at present. I'd never heard of the mother, no devotion, no bhakti, nothing. But it was a kind of a clean slate. So that was my advantage. So mother could write on me whatever she wanted, whichever message she wanted, the way she wanted me to grow. So it was all left to her. It was a blank sheet, mentally, vitally, physically. And yes, we were supposed to go to the group, but so both Ravi and myself used to go to the group. But at the balcony darshan, the interesting thing was, it was more a children's game, more than a devotional aspect. That is, as soon as the mother withdrew from the balcony, so we used to see withdrawing, first she would take out her hands from the parapet. So the moment we no more saw the hands, then we know she had, but she used to go very slow. She took another 3-4 minutes to withdraw from the balcony area into her room. But we as children, what we did was, we didn't wait for the mother to really withdraw from the balcony and get back into her room. So we took quick steps. Although others were still looking at the mother, we ran through, came around to the main gate of the ashram, went inside the ashram, and stood near the samadhi, where there was Diman Bhai's room. Because at that spot, by the time we reached there, the mother would come slowly inside, and there's a window above Nirod Baran's room, the big window.
Right?
And she used to arrange flower vases there. So our anxiety to get one more glimpse of the mother. So we ran and then we saw their mother again. She would of course not look at us, she would look at the flowers as she did her job, but we had one more glimpse and we were happy, and at the moment she left the window, went in, we said bye bye. Then we again ran back to the hostel, took our, got ready, took our breakfast, and then by about 7:45 we had to be back to the we had to come to the school. Well, that is how the morning was there, right from 58 to as long as the mother came,
Yes.
When she started withdrawing from the balcony of the ashram, you would suddenly see one day on a notice board in front of the ashram gate, today mother will not give the balcony of the ashram. We felt sad, but we said, okay, maybe she's not well. That became today, tomorrow, 1 week, 10 days, 15 days. The notice started wavering and it went on longer and longer. That's how slowly we came to know that she's withdrawing. Otherwise, we didn't much know that she was really doing sadhana and whatever is happening. Because as a 10 plus 11 years old child, I started enjoying the life pattern, the school, the group, the company, the friends. Like any child, I was more a child of the ashram school.
I'd like to digress for just a moment.
Yeah.
If my beloved friend Ravi has always refused an interview, could you say a few words about him, because you knew him so well?
Yeah, he was always a bit shy and reserved. And of course, I would say I could have guessed that at that time he would refuse an interview. But he's definitely less spoken, but we liked each other very much. We're really good pals. But as he grew up, I think he did not have too many friends around. So we were myself and a couple of others from the hostel. And what happened was within a couple of 2 years or something, or maybe 3 years, I left the Garbhadram hotel, went to another boarding and went to another boarding. That's where I lost contact with him. Afterwards in the classes we go different. So not that I was with him for a long many years. So that was Ravi, and later on, long many years later, when I built Sakar and I said, Ravi, come and see what your friend has done. So at that time he refused. He said, no, Ananda, I don't go anywhere outside my periphery of the ashram, school, dining room. So when he refused me, then I said, fine, I have to accept that it's his life policy, and I didn't urge him more than that. So well, we still are friends, but we have to accept each other's nature. He's not refusing me or refusing you. That's the way he has taken his principle. Yeah.
So now you're beginning to tell us about your years in boarding and the early years in the school.
Yeah. I think here it begins when I went to the next hostel, boarding. We used to call it Kirandi's boarding, just opposite, in the bank, in the SBI, State Bank of India Road.
Mm-hmm.
How do I describe that? This used to be Dilip Kapoor's, what is that factory called? Is Dilip Kapoor's goods are there? What are they called? The leather goods, right?
The leather goods, High Design?
High Design.
Yes.
That used to be the High Design factory. Of course, that came much later. Opposite that, there was a building belonged to the ashram. Somebody else bought it much later. But the hostel started with us. In charge of the hostel, there was somebody called Kiran Chatterjee. And she came from a very wealthy family in Bengal. But unfortunately, on a very suddenly and with a heart attack, she lost her husband. And soon enough, she lost both her sons. So she was completely in a shock and a traumatic situation, and then she came to the mother. Of course, you can imagine a young lady and very aristocratic. She had nothing to live for. Then the mother decided. She said, "You go and take care of a boarding school, for boarding. You will get back your children." So you see how the mother solved the individual problems.
Yes.
For her to give back the children was best to make her charge of a boarder.
Yes.
And then, according to her nature, it does, because she was from a royal family, this boarding was a very big building with ground and first floor, different dining room, a beautiful garden with a little pond there, and then guava trees, and really an aristocratic building. So she didn't lose her big building. So we were there, we were the first boys. So from there, I shifted to this hostel on this boarding. And again, another friend of mine, Swadhin, not Siddhartha, who is now under Manoj Da, Siddharth, who is working with Manoj Dasgupta in the office, school office, the assistant to
Yes.
Manoj Da.
Yes.
So we were the friend there, Siddharth and myself. So we became the room partners there.
Ah.
So there, our life began. Of course, there was a very big building. And there someone was there to take care of us, unlike what it was in the Ganpatra boarding. Now this Kiran Chatterjee, Kirandi, the way we used to call her, you see, all her unfulfilled motherly love, she spread on us. So that was her sadhana and that was our gain. So we got a mother there. The first 2 years we didn't have the kind of mother figure. So the children were extremely happy to get a mother. To the extent, I even forgot my biological mother and my mother parents. So there, she took care of our food and our discipline and what we wanted, what we liked and not liked in food. She would say, "No, this Ananda, he liked this," so she would make a preparation, special dish for me. Or not for me, for us. But really, she was the mother image. And in fact, to the extent, if our clothes were dirty, she would get not angry. She says, "Ananda, your dirty clothes were there. Why did you should give it for washing?" Just like a mother would do at home. So after 2 or 3 years, we got back our mother. So that was Kirandi. But because the hostel was, boarding was so big, she needed another helper. So mother gave her another helper. I think, if I've not forgot her name, was Saryuban. So the Gujarati lady. And she used to take care of the ground floor, boys and girls, and upstairs there were girls and downstairs were boys. Now, why I'm telling this little detail is very important in my life. She started a move for the cleanliness move. Whoever is the best, keeps best his room and stable and all that, will get a gift from the mother for you. I'll give your names to the mother. She will give you the blessings. So I still remember, it's now 69 years or no, I don't know, 59 years. So that was, I was a so-called the cleanest fellow there. So my name was referred to the mother, and mother sent me a little card. I'll show you my card later on, where for the first time I got a note from the mother, writing a little blessings or something to Ananda, to Anand. So I think that was figuratively a letter, a little chit, but I think that was the contact point for me. That was, I think, what really went in. You see, it's almost now 3 years. I was just a student, but with the mother directly, that little note, then that really said, my God, somebody has sent, mother has sent me the blessing, so she looks at me and she knows me. So kind of, I got into contact with her consciousness. Now she started being in my memory, in my mind. So that was the beginning of my journey when I started thinking about her. Till now, Okay, she was there in the balcony darshan, is more like a routine. But that little letter was very important in my life because that connected me to the mother. To the extent that soon afterwards, I was very weak in French. Because I had come from outside, so I didn't know anything about French. I was put, and here French is the medium. So I could not get along with the French classes, and all the subjects are in French. And although we were given, and my first teacher was somebody, a British lady, I think she was Pavita, her name was there. She used to live just where now Nipenda's dispensary is there, where Dr. Dilip Datta sits.
Mm-hmm.
Her room was there. So she was my first teacher, and she used to teach us English and all that, but she also taught us a bit of French. But somehow I found it very difficult, from no background, and English itself was something new for me because I was from a village, where we hardly knew anything in English. So I took the courage to say, now there is somebody here who can give me anything. That's the mother. Now you see, I'm just giving you the growth of the consciousness or love or devotion. So I said, no, mother, everybody says she's a goddess, she's divine. I don't know the meaning of divine, but I know that she's a goddess. So she should be able to give me something. So my first letter to her was, Mother, I'm having very great difficulty in learning French. So I pray to you to give me some capacity to learn French, to have memory to learn this whatever, this grammar or whatever. So the first time a written prayer went to her as a child who's in trouble with the school, not any personal problems. But I would not say dared, but as a child you ask your mother, what do you want? And here is the mother, she can give, it seems. So I shot out my first letter saying, Mother, I'm very weak, can you please help me to learn this language? And Pat came her answer with her blessings and with a little blessing packet. Now, because as I see now at a flashback, those are my little dots in my life of my journey towards the mother. So the second dot was actually this letter where I asked for her help. Because see, if I look back, that's the point of the first faith in her. Yeah, here is a person who can give me if I pray. And that was the seed of my growth in my faith to her. And after that, of course, on the school side, I grew up from one class to the other. And as we grew up also in the initial level, 58 to 61, you can imagine, or even 2 years maybe, not too long. I used to see her regularly on the physical education grounds. So one of my best experiences, which I must tell you, was because we are not too many at that time, maybe Ravi, myself, and a couple of my friends. You see, that eagerness to see the mother once again during the daytime, once more. So in the morning, we used to come from the balcony darshan to the window darshan, Nirodharan's window darshan. Then there was a whole school in the middle of the school timings. Then at 4 o'clock, the mother used to go for playing tennis. So she would come down by the steps from Nirodharan's room, the staircase that beside opposite the Samadhi. So we would stand just bang opposite the door, and I think 4 or 5 of us. Now I don't recollect Ravi standing there, but I was there. So as soon as she came down, we were the first person in front of her. We all said, "Bonsoir, douce mère." And she would walk on that platform, and we were below. So she would just tap on her head. She would say, "Bonsoir, mon petit, bonsoir, mon petit, bonsoir, mon petit." Each one of us, she tapped on her head. It's not that, "Bonsoir, mon petit, comment allez-vous?" It's not that. I mean, you see, now I can trace back her footsteps in my life. This is how she built up the faith and the love and the devotion, not by teaching or asking us to read Savitri or Life Divine or Synthesis, nothing. But here she was there, and as a child we needed a module, we needed an inspiration,
Yes.
not a book or a text. In fact, with Life Divine and Savitri, I came long back, I came into contact with them only at the higher course level. Until then, we were not even, we were aware of that, but nothing of a living presence, this book, that book. Even in fact, Sri Aurobindo comes later in my life. Because as a child we needed the mother.
How did your French improve?
Oh, the French, well, obviously somebody did something. Yeah, that is what is nice to see. I could cope up. It's not that I was very brilliant, but definitely it improved. There was no more this mental tension and I can't and no, I'm unable to do. I improved. I could come to the level of expectation for my standard. So going back, the mother would say, Bonsoir, Napati, and then she would tap each one of us and she would walk into the garage and she would go out of the garage into the balcony street where her car is waiting with Pavitra, the driver. I think Pranab Das, somebody would open the door, she would get into that. And she would drive away to the tennis ground. So what we did, we almost ran behind her because we had to catch her again at the tennis ground. So sometimes when we had cycle, we used to go before her, in fact. Or sometimes we wouldn't come to the staircase. We would go directly to the tennis ground and see her there. I mean, all ways and to see her again. It's just that, why do you want to see? Not that you have a prayer, not that I have something to ask for. No. As I always tell my students and youngsters, why does the sunflower want to see the sun? And it moves wherever the sun goes.
Yes.
Right from morning, east, middle, west. It is in His presence. So I always felt our life was like that, wanting to be radiating or to face to her. So we wanted to see her again at the tennis ground. And sometimes we would receive her when she got out the car, then we are there already in front before she went, Or sometimes because maybe we came to the tennis ground before her. However, we received her again and said, Bonsoir, douce-mère.
Oh.
You see, bonsoir, douce-mère, this bonsoir is, it's a lot of hindsight, but that's how I recollect. Now that you're asking me questions, I see, as I'm telling, those were her footsteps coming close to me. So each of these bonsoir, douce-mère, and then her response were really the response of the divine. And then, of course, she would go to play the tennis. And sometimes we used to sit there till about 5 o'clock because from 5 o'clock our group would start. We had our football, basketball, long jump. The tennis ground was our athletics ground because there was long jump, high jump. Then there was boxing and wrestling, so everything there.
Right.
So that was the only ground we have for us, the whole ground. Because the sports ground came much later in our life. We were as kids, tennis ground was our full thing. We had athletics, we had combatives, we had games. And for gymnastics, we came to playground. So when we saw her play, and that was a very sweet vision that I still keep in my memory, very active. The way she was quick in her steps, strides, not too big strides, but take quick steps towards the ball. And then the opponent used to give her the ball maybe 3 steps or 4 steps away from her. So she didn't have to run to get the ball. She just took 4 or 5 steps and then she would respond. And on the left side was always Pranabda, her partner.
Mm-hmm.
And on the opposite, the 2 persons who would change after each game or something.
Shrikant told us.
Chandrakant was there.
Chandrakant, yes.
Chandrakant, I still remember. He was there.
Yeah.
And there was another person, I forget his name. Sumanta maybe. Suman. So the opposite people, we didn't know much because we were all kids and only we saw Pranabda and mother. So at 5 o'clock we had to rush back to our group, so we can't be late there. So that's how we got a glimpse of the mother playing 15-20 minutes at half an hour sometimes, because we had to combine everything and seeing her and going to the group on time and all that. That was one thing at the tennis ground. And I remember one or two more things at the sports ground. When we grew up a little, maybe I came to Group B. This Group A was in the tennis ground, A meant green group. Group B, the red group, we could go to the tennis sports ground. And there, I still remember mother measuring my long jump. When I jumped on the pit, somebody would take the measure how much it is, and the mother would stood right on the border of that. So against my name, Ananda, so many meters. I said, my God, mothers, these are those little personal things, She was not yet the divine, nothing. She was just my mother looking at me and then taking measurement of my how much I jumped, how long and how high. She saw my jumping my high, what do you call it? What a long jump and high jump. And one very beautiful thing still stuck in my soul's memory, I would say. I was doing the 100 meters. And the only aim in the 100 meters was to touch the rope first, not to become first, but because she was holding the rope at the end of the race, the 100 meters. Because there was one side, mother would hold the string, and the other side, I don't know, Pranab or somebody. But the joy of it was, because she's holding the string, I'd like to touch that first. No idea becoming first, gold medal, nothing. Because mother used to hold the string. And once I still remember with my anxiety, just a few steps before that I fell down. And that was my sad point, that I couldn't touch the string when the mother was there. This is a small thing, but the curiosity, anxiety, the aspiration to be with her, to see her, to be around her. So that's how we grew up in the physical education. After 61, she didn't come down to sports ground. 59 end and 60, 61. However, I had a very beautiful year and a half with her in the physical education. Before me, you must have heard so many people that they daily with her. But I was one of those last batches where we could see her in the physical education grounds. After that, she saw me wrestling, she saw me boxing, and I used to wonder, I said, look at mother, she's looking at us. And later on, I came to read and came to know that watching us was really giving a force into the physical, force into the vital age, not just watching us who is the winner, not winner. And going back to sports ground, one little more detail. There used to be first, second, third, and after the item, the mother would be sitting on the ground on a chair, and the group captain would take us saying he is first, he is second, or he is third. The third would get 1 toffee, second would get 2 toffees, first one would get 3 toffees. Those are the Ganpatram toffees,
yes.
Cashew, what is that called?
Barfi? Was it barfi?
Not the barfi, cashew toffee.
Cashew toffee.
So those are made by Ganpatram at the cottage. The cashew toffees are wrapped in a white cellophane paper. So that was a great prize. The gold medal, the silver medal, and the bronze medal was 3 toffees, 2 toffees, and a single toffee. And once I remember I at least got a bronze. That means 1 toffee. But those are etched in my soul's memory that I received that prize from her. That's how, when I grew up later on and I saw kids wanting to have prizes, I said, look, what's the big... Because mother never believed in getting prizes or giving prizes. She said, no, this is your best you have to do. What's the question of a prize if somebody gets gold medal? So in my school at Hyderabad, at Auroville, I said, no. Because we grew up with the joy of giving to the mother or offering to the mother. However, that was the principle, but no, nowadays things have changed. So that's how, on the sports ground level, I didn't have too many years to be under her, but those are my few of my memories.
But you would see her for your birthday.
Huh. You see, those days, yes, in spite of seeing her so many times, birthday, of course, we used to go. Yeah, it's good you asked me because I should tell you something on that. The birthday, we used to go to Ashram Flower Room,
Mm-hmm.
and there the in charge person, I forget his name, that he knew today is my birthday because they keep the calendar. So they would keep special bouquets for us already, saying that 1, 2, 4, 5, 7 people are there. And with a little name plate, they would say, this is. So they're the same flowers grown in our ashram gardens.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever is the meaning, there's exactly the same bouquet in each bouquet, the same number of flowers. So as soon as we went, we said, Dada, it's my birthday. Ha, Ananda, Yeshod. And he would give me a bouquet. And with that bouquet, we went to the mother. And we were there, now I can imagine the simplicity of life we had as compared to the boys and girls of the present days. It was a birthday, so I must wear my best dress. And the best dress was an iron shorts. For that day, my shorts and shirts were ironed. The rest of the time, we didn't bother, they were ironed or not ironed. So it's not any fancy dress, a new kurta.
Yeah.
Just that day it must be a clean one with a little bit of ironing. So I still remember we were so proud that, okay, today is my dress is iron. Well, we went to the mother. The same system was there. That is, we used to sit down and then Champaklal would call from the window and turn by turn we went up. And, before going, we have the Mother Pandit's office is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And I had made, in fact, that was a bit of an imitation of my father. We used to buy a photograph from there, from Mother's office. And whenever we went there, after doing the pranam and all that, we would request the mother for a signature. So it was my birthday, so she would refuse anything. So whichever photograph, I got all my photographs at home signed by her because of this birthday gifts, So that is one thing. But also, you see, I was there from 58 to 69 in the ashram school. So those were days when she was still in the physical. So later on, when I went to higher course from 66 to 69, before that I started doing something else. I said, instead of the photograph, I'll take a book. So sometimes I didn't take a book. Actually, no, I didn't take a book. When I went for my birthday, I would say, on my birthday, I want the Life Divine from you. So she would tell Champaklal, bring that book. I think she had a full almirah of those things. So Champaklal ji would bring out whichever book I asked for, and the mother said, bring it. And so I had about 4 or 5 books from her. And that was my great treasure of my birthday gift was the Life Divine, she would say to Anand with blessings and all that.
She would sign each one.
Signed each one. And the very first one, which I didn't ask for, that is how I got to know that I could ask from her prayers and meditations. That is the very first book. She herself wrote to Ananda with my blessings, and that is where my study, or not even study is a big word, reading of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother began. Until then, I did not read a single book.
What year was this? Roughly how old were you?
58, 47, maybe 15 years. 15, 16 maybe. So when the prayers and meditation was given to me, I started reading that prayers and meditation, one prayer at a time before going to bed. So that was my first initiation to Shravandu's and the mother's writings. Not yet Shravan, remember, it's purely the mother's. But that is how, I can say now, till now it was the contact, devotion, dependency. But the first word of aspiration came then, after reading the prayers and meditation. Not only aspiration, a revelation came who the mother is. Because until then, I think if I can be faithful to myself, she was more a superhuman being, a goddess-like figure, but somebody who loved me intensely, whose smile was bewitching, who could disarm me with all my problems with one little smile and a twinkle in the eye. But aspiring for somebody, I think this is the prayers and meditation which kind of ignited that thing. So after that book, then I started now asking for the birthday gift. These books. I think the first one I asked her was The Life Divine. Then I asked her for the, of course, The Mother we got in between whenever we went. My father used to ask for The Mother book, small book. Those I received, that book I received couple of copies, 2 or 3 times. But the bigger books, I had that. I asked for the Synthesis of Yoga. And then the most wonderful I asked for Savitri. So, Savitri, Synthesis, The Life Divine, The Mother, and SS, not yet. Was it SS of the Gita? No. However, there are 4 major books. So one after the other I got signed by her. And this much I knew, that her blessings and signature is not just a book that she is giving me. She is giving me the power, the consciousness to understand that. So that was my deep faith that a book received from her, I receive something more, the power of understanding.
Namaste.
Namaste.